Hey knitters, welcome to episode 196 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. I'm your host, Devin Ventry. You can find me at KnittyMcPurly.com. I am Knitty McPurly on Instagram, and if you want to email me, I am Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. Welcome to the podcast. It is so good to be back. I missed you guys. I know it seems like I'm just sitting here by myself in my room, but I really miss you guys. I feel like we interact with the comments, and I missed you. So I'm very, very happy to be back. It's been a lot of fun things that have happened in my life over the past 2 weeks. The non-knitting stuff I'm gonna put at the end of the podcast. So if you're just here for the knitting, you don't have to hear about my boring life. It wasn't boring, it was really fun. But if you're interested in that, stick around at the end of the podcast and I'll show you pictures and talk about all that stuff. In the meantime, let's talk about what I'm wearing. I had several things on this morning. I had a faux set on and I was ready to burst into flames. It's actually gorgeous outside today. I have a very full, busy indoor schedule today, which is really sad, but it is gorgeous out today. So when I had that faux set on, it was DK weight, and we're just not in DK season yet here in Northern Virginia. So then I had a t-shirt on and I was like, I think I could probably get one more wear out of my summer vibe top. It's officially, it's totally not summer anymore, but this is appropriate for the weather. So you have all seen this before, worn it before. Very happy to be sporting it one possibly last time before next summer. So yeah. Anyway, let's get right into progress and shop news. Okay, the most exciting thing, I forgot to say, I'm drinking some water today out of my Florida cup in solidarity. I should have had my North Carolina cup because I have one of those. It actually was just like this. Gosh, I should have used that. No offense, Sherry in Florida. Thanks, Sherry, for sending me this. The East Coast was very hard hit by Hurricane Helene. Where I am, we were totally fine. Northern Virginia, totally fine. It rained and that was it. But those videos out of North Carolina were just terrible. How are my North Carolina knitters? Are you guys doing okay? I hope. Lake Junaluska, where we had the retreat in 2023, they got some flooding, but it wasn't too bad, I think. But some of the surrounding towns, especially Asheville, terrible. So anyway, we say offer up a little prayer for all those people who are struggling and suffering. And Sherry, thank you so much for my Florida cup. Drinking some water today because that's where I am in the day. This month's color of the month, October, is available now. It has all of the opal feels because opal is October's birthstone. I'm not really into birthstones. I never really think about birthstones, but Gigi's birthday is in October and she's into birthstones. So I had opal on my mind and that is where we went with that. So here it is as a sock set, or you can get it in just the Frankfurt fingering weight and the Dubrovnik DK. So those are in the shop right now if you're interested in that. They've been selling super well. You guys must love opals. Opals just have all of these colors. They have the hot pink and the yellow and the turquoise and the brown and the silver, and they're just really pretty. So September is gone. You guys bought all of September. I think I have one skein of July left, so go grab that if you're so inclined. I think it's in Dubrovnik DK. There's one skein, one very patriotic July skein if you're interested. And I have about 1.5 million August sock sets because they were super popular, and so I just kept dyeing them. And then when September came out, everybody forgot about August. But they're still really pretty. If you want one, go grab one. Okay, also in the shop, I have a few left of my coffee shop balm. I didn't bring one up here with me. This is one from a year or two ago. And you can see that I have absolutely decimated it. This is one that lives by my bed. So let me tell you, in the past 2 weeks, I got a very small but rather serious burn right here. It was definitely a 3rd degree burn. It was a huge, huge blister. Sorry if this is gross. But when the blister part was gone and it needed balm, I started putting balm on it. And then also Rocky bit me over here by accident. He's the best dog in the world, but he is blind. And if he thinks it's the ball, but it's accidentally your hand, that can happen. So Rocky and I had a come to Jesus moment where he learns that if it's possible that it could be my hand, that he can't bite because he is blind. But he's the best dog in the world, so he's really trying. Anyway, all this to say, I have been using the balm. I have balm everywhere, and I put it on the dog bite and the blister. I was frying chicken, and the hot oil, the what is it, like 300 degree, 350 degree oil, popped up and got on my finger, and it was a really bad burn. It was just really small, so it's no big deal. But anyway, the balm, it just heals stuff faster. And as we are coming into the cold weather and you get like those micro cuts on your hands from dryness, just put that balm on there. You breathe in the wonderful coffee smell and just enjoy the aromatherapy and the wonderful shea butter and olive oil and lanolin balm on your hands, and your life will be great. All right. Okay, one other thing. My Knitty McPurly retreat is coming up in January, and spots have been sold out forever. They went really quickly, and I have had a wait list going. However, I have had a few cancellations, and waitlist people sometimes don't email me back. So if you have an interest in attending January's retreat, send me an email, Devin, D-E-V-I-N, at KnittyMcPurly.com, and just tell me that you're interested, only if you're serious. You know, like on Facebook Marketplace, people say interested and then they never respond again. If that's you, just don't bother. Don't send me an email. If you really genuinely want to come, if you go on my website and I don't think the listing is visible anywhere, but if you search retreat, you'll be able to see the listing, and you can see, what the costs are and what comes with it and the dates and the accommodations and all that. So if you want to go look at that, if you're interested in coming, send me an email and I will see what I can do about getting you to Dallas with us in January. It's going to be great. Okay. Also coming soon, this is the thing that I have been working really, really hard on behind the scenes. It's the League of Extraordinary Sock Knitters. We have a 1-year-long, 12-month yarn club where we are going to work through Summer Lee's The Sock Project book, which has more than 12 patterns in it, but I have chosen 12. That we are going to work through next year. And what you do is, so I am new to this whole yarn club thing. It's new for me. So what you do is when it's available, so get the newsletter, the Knitty McPurly newsletter, go sign up for that on my website. If you don't have pop-ups enabled, you'll need to enable them so you can sign up for the newsletter. I'll give you some time to know when the sign-ups start, and you're gonna go sign up for the sock club. The first payment is due December 1st, and the yarn will ship out in the middle of December for January, so that on January 1st, you can cast on your socks. You're not waiting till the end of the month, and then you're like, well, I have January's yarn, and January's over, and somebody suggested that to me, and it was such a good suggestion. That was just genius. So that's how we're gonna do it. I love that idea. So with your kit, it's $43. You're going to get the yarn to accompany a pattern from the book. So you'll need to get the book. You can get it on Amazon or your local yarn store, wherever you buy books. I doubt you could get this used yet because it just came out this year. In addition to the yarn, you will get a custom progress keeper designed by me that accompanies that month's sock. So if you want to do it, sign up in January, because in January, you're also going to get a League of Extraordinary Sock Knitters enamel pin. So that will be a special bonus for January. So sign up for that, and then you can cancel if you want to. Like, let's say you only want to do 3 months, you can cancel, and I think it happens automatically every month, but then If you want to stop it, you can stop it. And then other people can sign up as spots open up. That's how we're going to play it. Like I said, I'm new to this. Hopefully it will all work smoothly, but bear with me. I have a feeling that's how it works. We shall see. Okay. But it automatically renews month to month. So when you sign up in January, you're signed up for the whole year. And then, if you sign up, let's say somebody cancels and you sign up in March, it will continue to come until you cancel it. So that's how that works. I will let you know when you can sign up via the newsletter. So keep an eye on that. Probably within the next few weeks, we'll get our group and you'll have your commitment and your slot. And then all of the things will be set in motion in December. And it's just going to be so much fun. I am so excited. Okay. All right. So you might think, Devin, you've had 2 weeks. So where's your knitting? What have you been knitting? And I have done like almost no knitting. I don't even know what happened because I went on my girls' trip. I was driving though. I had to drive there, so there wasn't car knitting. And this is just a bunch of moms who get together. And so there's always kid drama. There's always kid drama where we're there and our kids are calling us and somebody's doing something. And it's a lot of adult children. And so that's a lot of drama. So we were always dealing with something like that. And knitting just didn't happen, which was fine. I really just wanted to hang out with my friends and I did, and it was wonderful. So I didn't really get any knitting done. And then you know how it is when you get home from a trip, it's just pure chaos for several days of laundry and dishes and shopping and cooking and cleaning and driving and homeschooling. And so I just didn't really get much done, but I did have time to do just a few rows on this old whip that you may remember. I don't even know why this whip has been languishing. I can't even tell you. So this is a Go Lightly sweater in Dresden DK, which is super, super fluffy. This is a Surrey silk, but DK. So it has a ton of fluff. And this is the Go Lightly sweater. So it is a top-down raglan. You know how you guys were asking me for a pattern for that sweater that I had on a couple weeks ago with the puffy sleeves? It's almost the Go Lightly sweater. The only difference is that with the Go Lightly, you have an option for a turtleneck. So if you took the turtleneck off of the Go Lightly, which I did here, I just only knit the ribbing for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 rows. You'd pretty much have that sweater. The difference is that one was in a fingering weight and this one's in a DK weight, but we know that if you want to change your yarn weight, you can with the Gauge Switcheroo worksheet, which you can find on my website for free. Go download that if you haven't done that already. That is great whenever you want to change your gauge or your yarn weight for a pattern. Anyway, this is the Dresden DK, and the way I had left it for a long time is I was here, like I was at the cuff. And so I finally finished the cuff and I picked up the sleeves for the stitches for the other sleeve, and I got a little bit, like I'm like maybe 2 inches into that sleeve. And the great thing about this sweater is that you don't decrease down the sleeve. It makes for such a comfortable sweater because the sleeves have so much space in them and you just feel like, you never feel like you're too tight in your sweater. And it's great, you're just knitting a tube, and then at the end you do all your decreases and then you knit your cuff. So that's the Go Lightly sweater. I look absolutely horrible in my pictures on the website because I had no hair, I'm wearing a wig. I was like, I don't know, if I was bald, at least cancer was over. The chemo was either happening or over, but I just look terrible. So anyway, who cares? It doesn't matter. But I'm so excited to wear this sweater. I think I picked it up again because we're kind of in that season where I'm heading into the season where I'll be able to wear it. And I'm only like 3/4 of a sleeve away, and they're not even full sleeves. The sleeve goes to, it's like an elbow sleeve. So I'm really excited about that because the Go Lightly is such a comfortable sweater. And the one that I have has a turtleneck, which makes it warmer. So this one will be a little bit cooler. It's a little bit airier. Very excited to wear that. So I did get a little bit done. Now that I really led you up to thinking that I did nothing, and then I did some things. So it wasn't that bad. Okay, the comment section. Last time we talked about the Paulina pullover by Teti Lutzak, and I just love everything about the way that she looks. I just think she is beautiful, and I love her sweater. I love what she's wearing with it. I love her hair and her face, and I just think she looks great. And I can't read this. There's this Latin, Lycopodium obscurum says, Teti is Ukrainian. Her designs are beautiful and the patterns are well written. That's good to know because I've never actually knit them. She says, I knit the Paulina last fall and could easily knit another if it wasn't for all of her other wonderful designs that I feel compelled to knit. I can't wait to see your Benedicta in those fall colors. So the yarn is back here. See, that's another guilt thing, is that I felt like I should have cast on the Benedicta because this is so gorgeous. This is what I ought to do. But there's some part of me that feels like if I cast it on, it's going to become a languishing whip, like everything else I have cast on in the past, I don't know, couple of months. I've got that kind of like failure feeling of like, maybe I should finish something I started. So I'm going to finish this. And I'll have this beautiful fall sweater ready for next fall. We'll set the bar low. Jean Burby says, hello, loved your podcast. I love that the one lady's granddaughter wants to be Knitty McPurly and Charlotte too. I think Charlotte just wants to wear my clothes, which is funny because she's 9. I'm like, Char, none of this is going to fit you. Like you're a tiny little person. So we'll see where it goes. She says, the sock month club sounds interesting. I'm not sure I can do it, but I'm going to look into it. Have a blessed week. Yes, it's going to be great. I hope you can make it. Katie Bear says, congrats on 6,000 subscribers. Love your channel. I absolutely love the Paulina pullover. It is definitely on my to-do list. Teddy has gorgeous designs. She really does. Some people know how to do the aesthetic, and she definitely does. Siobhan, hi Siobhan, says, just wanted you to know that you and your sock along got a shout out from the Fruitful Hands podcast. I love those two. Awesome. I've never even heard of that podcast. Now I got to go check it out. Katie B says, I think I actually prefer your accidental sleeve modification that made for the smaller puff on the sleeves. So she's talking about what's the name of the sweater? Elizabeth? Gosh, I forgot the name of the sweater. I'll put it up here. This sweater that I made for Gigi, and I made an accidental tiny puff, which I thought was really cute. It ended up too small for me, but I gave it to Gigi. We were just talking about it before I started filming. I was like, you need some flowy pants to wear with it. That would look gorgeous. And Katie says, I generally like a smaller puff. I like puffy sleeves, but I'm content to admire them on skinny people. I get it. She says, I'm broad in the shoulders and truly puffy sleeves are not flattering for me. Fair enough. I have to pay attention visually to narrow my neckline and shoulders and accent my hip line to create a visual hourglass balancing my broad shoulders. That's awesome. You would probably like that book that I talked about a few weeks ago. Can't remember the name of it. Can't remember the name of the book or the author, but it was good. I talked about it on the podcast. She says the smaller, daintier puff works really well with the very feminine aesthetic of the sweater. We would love a picture of Gigi wearing it for sure. As soon as she puts it on, I think she doesn't have any place to wear it with jeans, and she doesn't have any pants or a skirt to wear with it to make it mass appropriate. So she just doesn't have any place to wear it right now. But Katie says, I cast on a Benedicta 2 weeks ago in Bougie and Fathom. Oh, that's going to be so pretty. And I'm using the light color for the yoke and transitioning to the dark color for the bottom because I'm hoping it will give that visual effect. Awesome. I'm also planning to adjust the color work a bit for the same reason. Awesome. That is so great. Dilly Dahlia says, I too have admired your no-name pattern when you've worn it. I wish I were brave enough to wing it and try to create something similar. Its shape and fit kind of reminds me of the Pavement sweater by Vera Valimaki, which I have made twice. The neck construction and increases are different and doesn't have puffy sleeves, but the overall look is similar to me. It's a great pattern. It does look really good. It looks like it's a raglan, very basic. Looks like it has a rounded hem that's very pretty. I think what you see as similar is probably the raglan and the yarn. It's a fingering weight, but like I said, if you guys want to make that no-name sweater, gosh, I hope you watch every week because otherwise you're going to be like, why does Devin not know anything? She talks about all these things and she just doesn't know any names or things. This one that I wore, the yarn is gorgeous. And I did just wing it, but honestly, it is so similar to the Go Lightly, which I'm just now noticing. It has a tiny little cuff here, but it's the same thing where you don't do any decreases and you do them all at the bottom. Again, this is fingering weight and the Go Lightly is DK, but we can fix that very easily. Emily at Knitty, hi Emily, says, I'm so excited to receive your coffee balm. Last year, I had to give up coffee. That's terrible. Like I'm joking around, but I love coffee. Like I go to bed at night excited to get up in the morning and drink coffee. She said, I've told so many people that the thing I miss most is the smell, and I'm so excited to sip my warm water in the morning and put this balm on my hands and just calmly pretend. That's awesome. Oh gosh. Julie Brown says, hi Julie and Deb. She says, I would have never asked, but since you offered, please make a kit for the Caitlin Hunter sweater you made. Deb and I will buy it. Do it, sister. Okay, so the reason this podcast is up a little late, 2 reasons. The first reason is I spent like 2 hours putting these kits on my website. Why did it take 2 hours? I don't know. I mean, you have to figure out like how much yarn is needed for each size and whatnot and get pictures and everything up there. But I did it. I put kits up for the Jupiter Crop by Caitlin Hunter and the Wildflower Tee by Wise Owl Knits. Hi, Cheryl. So those kits are on my website if you want to go get them. I know that they're not seasonal, but if you're the kind of person who is going to get your yarn and just let it sit there and enjoy it for a few months before you cast it on, or if it's going to take you a while to knit next spring sweater, if you want them, they are there. It's up as a pre-order, so your yarn will ship within 2 weeks, as all pre-orders do. So yeah, I did it. They're up there. So that's the first reason. The second reason is that this morning my husband says, you know what I want for lunch? I want a margarita from El Tio, which is a Mexican place by us. So we're going to get margaritas. So that might push this back a little bit in terms of editing. Oh gosh, it's great. My life is great. I love you guys. Okay, moving right along to knitting fantasies. My first pick for knitting fantasies is one that I am sure that you have heard about unless you live under a rock, and that is Stephen West's Mystery Shawl Go-Go Dynamo. This man, he has such a command of color, design, business, and language. Go-Go Dynamo, I mean, I want to knit it just for the name. I just think it's so great. He has my respect utmost. I would love to meet him, and I would be one of those people who was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm meeting you. I would die. This is my children. The door is locked. Anyway, the first clue came out 2 days ago. So if you're interested in knitting the shawl, if for some reason I am magically the first person who has told you about this, it is a 2-color fingering weight shawl. Looks to me like you need about 2 skeins of each color. Shawl is great for a mystery knit along because I feel like you're kind of like, whatever, it doesn't really matter how this turns out, it's a shawl. So anyway, it looks really fun. Total stash buster if you have 4 skeins of yarn laying around that you would like to use. Looks really fun. I can't wait to see people's progress. Now, my second pick is one that I super, super love. It's a total knitting fantasy because, as we have established, I have languishing whips and I have new cast-ons already planned. But this skirt, Gigi would love this. She should make it. It's called the Skeeter skirt. It is so cute. There are so many variations to this pattern. There are options for a bigger flare or a smaller flare. You can knit it however long or short that you want. Micro, mini, above the knee, below the knee, midi, maxi, ankle. However much knitting you want to do. It has pockets if you want. So what you do is, you'll see like in this picture, there's a hole there where the pocket goes if you look closely. It is a sewn pocket out of fabric. And there's also options for lining the skirt with fabric with a video tutorial. It is top down, graded from newborn tiny to 60-inch waist. But granted, the only thing that fits is the waist, so she's just grading the waist. You can use whatever yarn you want, whatever needle you want, whatever length you want, and you don't even have to count your stitches. The pattern includes instructions for 2 flare options, small flare, big flare, optional pockets, like I said, fabric lining, optional short rows to add length in the back, which you should always do, unless you have no butt. If you're one of those people who are just straight flat up and down, I guess you wouldn't need it. But for the rest of us, we need the short rows to give a little more space in the back. 6 bottom hem options, raw stockinette edge, with or without the anti-roll technique, folded over stockinette, I'd probably pick that one, I-cord bind off, garter hem, or ruffle. Wow, what a cool pattern. And it looks so simple, but she did it. Like, just because it's simple doesn't mean that anybody could do it. She did it and she published it, and it looks just super, super good. So all those look good. Moving right along to So Here's What Happened. Today's story comes from a wonderful podcast watcher named Gail. Hi, Gail. Thank you so much. Gail's story is so good. I can't wait to share it with you. If you have a knitting story, please send it to me. You can type it out and I'll read it. You can take a video of yourself telling it. If you send me one, send me with pictures if you have them. Not everybody has pictures. But I love this segment of the podcast. This is everybody's favorite segment. So send me one because this is it. I don't have one for next week. Gonna need one. And after this, I'll tell you about all of my regular life stuff. Okay. Gail says, hi, Devin. I learned to knit purl cast on and cast off at 11 years old. I didn't do much with this knowledge other than knit scarves, which seemed boring to me, so I didn't continue. One late November day, about 20 years later, I got this harebrained thought to knit my husband a sweater for Christmas. Okay, let's just stop there for a second. Gail is a woman after my own heart. Do I know how to do it? No. Can I figure out how to do it? Maybe. Do I have any resources or belief in the ability that I can do it? Not really. Is it likely that I'll finish? Probably not. Is it a gigantic, hard thing that most people can't do? Yep. Am I gonna do it? Yes. That's my life. I totally get it, Gail. I love it. She says, I know. This was a ridiculous idea. 1 month to do it, working full time, 2 young daughters, and keeping this a secret from my husband so I could only work on this during my lunch hour and after they had all gone to bed at night. Also, this was 40 years ago. No YouTube, no email, no text. So off I went to find a pattern that seemed fairly simple but still had a design to it. Bought all the supplies the pattern suggested, the yarn they recommended, acrylic, which I don't use now, and off I went determined to make the sweater. I was so concentrating on completing this process that I paid no attention to the pattern, to the project. It was knitted flat, So she says, I was concentrating on the process, so I wasn't paying attention to the project. She would just do it and then wasn't really looking at it going, does this make sense? Okay, so it was knitted flat and sewn together. I started by making the front piece and ran into a problem understanding a design feature. Again, this was a long time ago. I couldn't send an email to ask my questions, so I had to phone the pattern maker. She explained that there was an error in the pattern, so she mailed via snail mail a corrected copy. This was okay, as I worked on the back piece while I waited for the correction to arrive. So, long story short, I completed the front, the back, one sleeve, and most of the second sleeve, sewed it all together, but I was not able to complete the second sleeve, so I wrapped the almost complete garment with a letter to my husband explaining the thought behind this gift. He was so sweet as he read the letter. I could tell that he appreciated my intent. As he pulled the sweater out of the box, I was so shocked. I think it was the first time that I really looked at it. It was absolutely huge. He tried it on. The length was about 10 inches below his hips. The completed sleeve was longer than his extended fingertips. Little did I know that I was a loose knitter and had zero idea what gauge was. I still have this sweater. I couldn't quite toss it. We now lovingly refer to it as a refrigerator cozy instead of a sweater. I didn't knit again for 30 years. Now in my 70s, I started knitting again. In the last year, I've knitted a cardigan, pullovers, vest, cowl, slippers, many pairs of socks, and a Christmas stocking. I have many projects going at the same time. I'm not a fast knitter, but I am gauge accurate. I bet, Gail. I am really enjoying both the process and the projects. My thoughts are that whatever I make has to have two things. It has to be something I will wear, use, or gift. I have to learn something by doing something I haven't yet done. That's awesome. That's a great idea. And there's a million things, short rows or a different construction or a different way to pick up stitches or whatever. There's tons of ideas. She says, thank you so much for your wonderful podcast. You are teaching me so much and I'm grateful. That is such a great story, Gail. It has so much comedy. Oh, I totally get it. It's just, oh, that's so funny. Anyway, let me tell you about my past 2 weeks. That's the end of the knitting content. So if you just came here for that, have a great week. I will see you here next week. For anyone else, I had the best weekend with my girlfriends. My one friend was turning 60, and so we got an Airbnb and we went up into the mountains in Luray, Virginia, which is gorgeous. And we just had such a good time. And like I said, there's always kid drama. That always is going to be whenever we get together. Somebody's children has a crisis and that's life. But it was just so great to hang out with my friends, and we hiked and we hung out and we went out to dinner and we took my friend out, and it was a great time. And then this past week was Gigi's birthday. So one of my friends that I went on the trip with, her husband likes fancy cars. And so in order to be able to afford to have fancy cars, he rents them out. So they were going out of town for like a week and a half, and they needed a place for their Ferrari. Who doesn't need a place for their Ferrari? And so I just happened to be telling them about, I was planning for Gigi's birthday and how Gigi loves Ferraris, and I got her a Ferrari jacket for her birthday. And my friend goes, we need a place for our Ferrari to be for the next week and a half, so why don't you borrow it? So we've been borrowing the Ferrari for the past week and a half, and it has made my husband's week to have that car in our house. He is just so excited to drive it around. And Gigi got to ride to school in it on her birthday. It has just been so much fun. It really put a smile on the face of several people in our family, mainly those two. They were just so excited. The rest of us were pretty impressed too. But I think they're off in it right now because it's a gorgeous day outside and it's a convertible and that has been so much fun. But anyway, I guess it's not that much. I really just wanted to show you the pictures. It's been a really, really fun 2 weeks, but I am glad to be back on the track of weekly podcasting because I missed you guys. So good to be back. I will see you here next week. Send me your knitting story. Bye, knitters.